This is Heavy Conversation with Bruce and Jody, a podcast where we talk about being a big guy in today's world. I'm Bruce. And I'm Jody. Here we go.
Here we go.
All right, here we go. All right, here we go. What's up, Bruce?
Hey, Jody, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Oh man, I'm a little apprehensive about my beer this week.
Uh-oh.
I got a strong one.
I was like, what sort of swill did you get?
Yeah. It says it's an award winner from 2021. So we'll see. It is a very, very strong adult beverage.
Well, I think mine is mine's mine's up there. Mine's 9.5. So
well, then we'll get through it together.
Maybe we just won't finish it today.
Maybe.
Another one I won't finish right now.
Yeah, we'll just do some sips as we go through the show. So this week, I thought it would be good to talk about a recent article that came out in the Wall Street Journal back on May 20th, and it is titled, "Old Navy made clothing sizes for everyone. It backfired." So it's the clothing brand's push for inclusivity left it with a shortage of middle sizes. It says it's super frustrating. So this article came out, as I said, May 20th, and talking about how Old Navy during the pandemic basically started becoming more inclusive, and they made some pretty big changes as far as how they made their clothes, sizing, the options that they offered, the way that you could find clothes. And they are reporting some lower sales numbers. And so this article is basically saying it's because of their plus sizes. And so I thought we could kind of go through the article and talk about why that's not exactly the case. Right. There's a little more to it than what's in the article. They kind of call it a stumble with their launch, and I would agree with some of that, but we can kind of get into it as we go along. Maybe we should just kind of get into our beers now.
Maybe have a beer before we. Okay, sure. Yeah. What do you got for me?
Okay, so I have a beer. It is from Hoppin Frog in Akron, Ohio.
Nice.
Yeah, it's Hoppin Frog Brewing Company, Akron, Ohio. It is called Frogichlaus.
Frogichlaus.
Yes.
Oh, that's like a German looking thing. I was like Santa Claus, Froggy.
Yes, and so there's it is a Swiss style celebration lager. And it is a 14.1%.
Nice
beast. And it's a small can, like it's a smaller than average can, which is great because it packs such a punch. So it won the 2021 bronze at the Great American Beer Festival for German style. What does that say there? Is that Eisbach?
German American Beer Festival bronze medal winner. I don't know.
Yes. And so there is another beer that's called Santa Claus, I believe. And it has a similar look, similar logo. So I'm guessing Hoppin Frog is making their own version of that. And it looks dark, and I'm going to try it now because how long can you put it off?
Right. Creamy Swiss style holiday lager with a multi-taste and aroma, low bitterness, and a reddish brown color.
Oh,
wow. That face.
Oh, sweet mother of mercy. That is, whew. This is definitely one of those holiday beers. And
after you've had a big meal or lots of something.
Yes, I need sliced ham or some turkey or anything, basically.
Yep.
Because it's got that sweetness. It burns in your throat and your chest. It's gonna warm me up for sure.
Yeah, it says it's a perfect beer to settle down for a cold winter's nap.
Well, as
you pass out from 14% alcohol.
Here we are at the end of May as we're recording this, and I'm enjoying this. So it'll be a warm nap, that's for sure, but no winter.
A not productive day.
Yeah, right. Whew. Yeah, that's
so what intense. How many stars or whatever are we gonna give that?
it's good. It's good. It is just it's not generally a type of beer that I drink, and it's very strong. I'd give it 3.5.
Okay.
So yeah,
Not bad. Not bad.
yeah.
3.5 stars.
Yes, right.
Out of 10 or out of 5?
Out of 5, I think.
All right. So I have a strong one as well. Mine is called Cinnamon Bun Ale from Boulevard Brewing.
Okay.
In Kansas City, Missouri.
Ooh, nice.
Imperial Brown Ale with cinnamon flavor.
Boulevard. You really can't go wrong with Boulevard. Is somebody who grew up in Missouri. That's they were definitely one of the smaller indie brewers back in the day. Obviously,
oh really?
There's so many more.
Pretty big, yeah.
Yeah, Boulevard they've certainly grown. I don't know if they're owned by anybody else at this point, but that would not surprise me. But Boulevard, they do some fun stuff. I really like kind of the direction that they go in. They have a smokestacks series, I believe it's called, that's all kinds of like weird and interesting, unique beers. So definitely,
this is definitely unique.
Trying.
That's for sure.
Nice.
So it's I just had a little sip. It's very sweet, cinnamony. I don't know that it doesn't like reminisce of like Cinnabon or anything, but it's cinnamony, kind of malty, got all that, but it is boozy.
Yes.
Definitely. And this is a big can.
Ooh, yeah.
This is a pint. So
I like it.
This is another one like after, I don't know if about after a meal, but it's heavy one.
Right.
It's good. Imperial Double Brown. What did it say? Imperial Brown Ale with cinnamon flavor. Cinnamon, sweet vanilla, rich, bready. Yeah.
Well, there we go.
It's a good one.
Nice. Well, if you're listening to this and either of these beers sound appetizing to you, you can check them out on our Untapped list at untapped.com or on the Untapped app. It's the Heavy Conversation beer list, and Jody adds lots and lots of beers to it. The good, the bad, the ugly,
and the very strong,
and the very strong.
Cinnabon. I do like it.
Yeah,
but that's going to be another one that's going to be sitting here till tomorrow probably.
Yes,
and I'll forget about it.
Right. So, yes, back to the main event here. So, Old Navy made clothing sizes for everyone. It allegedly backfired. They go on to say, I know. It's how I feel after I read it. I thought, well, okay, so I feel like there's some things that are missing here.
You got to tell us a little more about that.
So Old Navy set out to make clothes shopping more inclusive for women of all body types. Let me stop for a second and just say that I do believe that Old Navy updated some of their men's product as well, but they did no promotion of that.
I know. I was whatsoever. Like, I didn't see. I was like, oh, it was for the women's. That's why I didn't see anything about the men's.
Yeah, there was nothing at all about it. But I will say that I feel like the fit and sizing of some of their stuff has changed, has been updated. I've been trying to get more information because I do want to write about it, obviously, for Chubster if they've done that. And it feels like that's probably their next step. I will say that Old Navy is, when they launched their more inclusive stuff for women of all body types, they started using bigger models. They used a variety of body types.
Yeah, I did see that.
For some of that, like editorial stuff and, some of their marketing and promo early on. But they don't do any of that on the men's side at all. So, I wanted to ask them why. And I also wanted to know what the future held, but so far no one has gotten back to me. So here we are.
Come on, Old Navy, what's up?
Yes. So Old Navy ended up with too many extra small and extra large items and too few of the rest, a mismatch that frustrated customers and contributed to falling sales and a management shakeup. So, it has basically their sales numbers are down. Old Navy makes most of the money for Gap Incorporated and, Gap and Banana Republic and all of that. And They're saying in this article that it also shows the challenges of producing a wide range of sizes that have led some brands to stop carrying plus sizes. So there are a bunch of reasons why brands that try to launch plus sizes fail. And we've
Yeah.
talked about this stuff many times over the years. And it is all right. We'll just let me go through some more of this before the complaints begin. We'll go there. So the company will report its latest quarterly results. Today, as we're recording this, May 26th, they say they expect the company to report net sales of 3.44 billion, down from the 3.99 billion it reported in the same period last year. So if those numbers are what they're basing this as a backfire or a failure on, that's not a big difference. Should it have gone up? Sure. I'm sure with more people buying clothes and getting out there and all of that, but there are probably a lot of reasons for that. They're saying that this was one of the biggest launches in the brand's history. Back in August, Old Navy began offering all women's clothing sizes and sizes 0 to 30 and XS to 4X. So 0 to 30, I think, I'm not super sharp on the conversions, but I think that a 30 is a 50 waist in men's. I think that's how they convert.
Okay.
And then extra small to 4X, making it one of the first retailers to place such a big bet on inclusive sizing. Here's the first place that I think they messed up. They did away with separate petite and plus size departments and grouped all the sizes of each style together.
Yeah, no.
Mannequins in various body shapes displayed the new wares. All sizes of a style were priced the same, with a break with an industry practice in which retailers charge more for larger sizes, aka the fat tax. So first thing is that they did away with these departments. So that can make it difficult for a bigger customer, or I mean, in this case, even a petite customer.
Yeah, to know what's in my size.
Right. To find,
especially
those
when
things.
you're used to that. Like that's what you've been doing,
right?
Having them separated. Yeah.
And that's a big thing in the industry, is that yes, like perfect world scenario down the road, it would be great to go into a store and have all those sizes available and know that you can just find your thing. But we are not there at all. We're not even close. And you have a customer that has been underserved, a plus size customer has been underserved. You need to have those categories. You need to have those things for them to make it easier for them to find things, to understand what they're looking for, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So while I applaud Old Navy going all in on that, it feels like that's something that you would want to work toward, as opposed to just doing away with those departments. So
absolutely. I mean, yeah, because it's going to be like, how do you, from like a store's perspective, how do you even display all those sizes together?
Right.
Like there's not enough room to display all those sizes, or you're going to have one of each.
Right.
Like
totally.
That's a lot of sizing to have on a rack or on a shelf or whatever. Like
it is.
It'd be easier to have them separated. Like here's the plus size, everything. Like,
right.
I get that they're like, oh, all of our things are available in all these sizes. I get that, but yeah, it gets difficult to shop.
Right. So they were saying this is the largest integrated launch in their history, and it's they're expecting it to really drive growth. And soon after, however, Old Navy's sales started to nosedive. The chain's president and chief executive, Nancy Green, stepped down after less than 2 years of running the brand. Gap warned that sales for the spring quarter would fall short of expectations, in part due to troubles at Old Navy. Extended sizes were the culprit, according to current and former employees. They said that stores were selling out of middle sizes and were stuck with piles of very small and very large sizes. To clear out the excess goods, Old Navy put a large quantity of women's clothes on sale this spring. The move contrasts with other retailers that have held the line on discounting because of strong demand and supply chain challenges. So there are a couple things here. So they go on to show some examples that in Queens, New York, racks of women's clothes were selling for 50% off. Some women's dresses were available only in extra small and double X. The middle range was selling out. So here's the thing. Of course, the middle range was selling out because the middle range has always been there.
Yeah.
This company has not done a good job of saying, hey, plus size people, we have these things for you. If they're not doing that and they're not promoting that, then people aren't going to know about it and they're not going to come to the store. And most plus size people are not, they don't shop in stores. I'm generally
I don't go to the mall and just shop because I know I can't find anything.
Exactly. And
like,
so
it's disappointing.
Right. So if you aren't as a business doing everything that you can to market and promote to these customers to tell them, hey, guess what? We've got your stuff in here, then they're not going to know about it. And they're already trained to shop online or to shop at other places. So you can't just do one launch and be like, hey, we've got this stuff. Hopefully they'll know now. It is a concerted effort. You have to keep pushing and you have to keep trying to get the word out to these segments, because obviously if they're selling the middle stuff, they've always had the middle sizes. So there was something that they missed there. Like that is a frustrating thing, is that that is part of the problem. So all right.
Yeah, and even on their site, they have everything combined. They don't have like a plus or whatever size. So it's hard to know. It's like, well, what is available in my size?
Right. And so could there have been a change where they dropped some of the some of the middle sizes so that they could make room for smaller and larger sizes? Probably. That would make sense. I mean, you've only got so much space in stores. I mean, isn't that doesn't that make sense as far from a retail perspective, that they only have so much space, so they're gonna put a few of the big things, a few of the small things. But again, if you're not promoting it and not letting people know about it, they're not going to come and buy it. They go on to say that retailers from Victoria's Secret to Target have embraced size inclusivity by adding more styles in small and large sizes to win over new customers and promote more positive body imagery. Yes. So Target, for example, which we can talk about since, they do the big and tall stuff. They've definitely done that. They don't do the greatest of jobs of letting where you can find the bigger stuff in stores, because not every Target store has extended sizes. You're not going to be able to go to, like, I can't go to my Target store down the street and find, the 3X that I might need.
Yeah, no.
If you're a 5X, you're definitely not going to find anything. So none of these chains that have multiple stores are doing a good job. Walmart doesn't do a great job with that, although it is easier to find bigger things in their stores. They still, they don't do a great job with that either.
Yeah, it's still slim pickings.
Right. So the thing that we can say about Old Navy that it says here in the article is that few chains have gone as far as they have. They've really invested in equality and sizing, and it's not just in the product, but the way that the stores are laid out. It goes on to say that most retailers sell clothes in sizes that range from 0 to 14. So adding additional sizes comes with extra costs. Which is something we always hear is there's extra cost for developing new patterns, buying extra material, and that's kind of where
you're putting all that money in there, but then you don't tell anyone about it.
Right. But so, as Jody, as someone who deals with creating, you're creating clothing and dealing with different sizes, is the difference of making clothes in a much bigger size, is the cost difference, is that an ongoing thing, or is that something that, like, okay, so you're designing something and once you've designed it and once you've got the fabrics, obviously needing more fabric is probably going to cost more, yes, are all of those costs always going to be a really expensive thing, or is that like
they're always, obviously they're developing much more products on like a more
Sure.
regular basis, but
Sure.
I mean, you're already doing that anyway, so it's not like it costs more to develop bigger clothes.
Right.
Like it costs more to just develop new clothing, like have a
Sure.
designer to do more. But I mean, maybe they just have another designer that does I don't know. But
But
yeah, it's
that's the thing about it, is that you can't tell me that a company, especially a company that is, bigger companies, I hear this complaint from them all the time, where it's extra costs from developing. Yes, there are extra costs, but if you're selling the stuff,
Mhm.
doesn't that negate those extra costs? And if it's
Yeah.
not, then you're doing something wrong with how you're selling your product.
Yeah, it's not like just because it's plus size, it costs extra. It's just you're developing a new product, so it costs money to do that. But that's
Right.
just a always built-in cost of having product. So it's not like because it's plus size, it costs even more to
Right.
develop it. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're saying that these retailers they're used to buying mid-range sizes because that's what are most popular,
Hmm.
and that those things will sell out more quickly. And if you're offering a wider range of sizes, like we said, you're not able to get as much of the most popular things in
Hmm.
store,
Hmm.
which, well, sure, and they're most popular because that's all you've been selling for so long,
Yeah.
and you're not, again, promoting the fact that you have this bigger stuff
Hmm.
in store. So it's this whole thing where you have to work to
But then,
get past that.
yeah, but then obviously I mean, is there replenishment not happening? Like, do they just not have the sizes that are selling? Because I mean, they know what's selling because it's all computerized and it just gets auto refilled back in.
Right.
So if you're selling out of the mid-range sizes, it should just be getting filled back in.
Yeah.
I
And
mean, you should have it because like when we order stuff, we have when we order like a certain like the new Pride boxer brief,
Mhm.
we don't order the same amount of every size. It's skewed based
Okay.
on what we're selling. So
Right.
yeah, we sell a lot more of the mid-range sizes, so we get a lot more of those. But
Sure.
we also, you know, every year we like reevaluate how fast we're selling it. So like, oh, we need to bump up these sizes some more because we sold out of those way too quick, or we
Right.
aren't selling these, so we need to bump that down and spread it out. So it's like,
Okay.
it's like a weird curve, S curve, or whatever kind
Mhm.
of curve you want to call it. It's like we don't order as many of the really small sizes or the really big sizes because we don't always sell those. But
I
we've been
see.
selling out of those, but we still sell way more of the middle sizes. So
Okay. Right.
it's just a weird balancing game of like where, and it kind of fluctuates back and forth of like sometimes we get more medium and larges, or sometimes this year we're getting more 4 and 5 and 6X's because that's what been selling. And so
Sure.
yeah.
Right. Right. So you would think they're looking at that. They go on to say in this article that uh, they really did go all in on this. They when they developed the new sizing, they did the research. They interviewed hundreds of women about their body image, scanned the bodies of 389 women to create digital avatars, built new fit blocks for sizes 20 through 28. Proportions change when they get larger, which we've always talked about.
Hmm.
They had to review pocket placements, waistband pitches, dress lengths, all these things. So they did
Hmm.
all of that work as they got into this, which is great. Um, this was all complicated by, guess what, COVID-19. So
Hmm. Hmm.
they launched this, during the pandemic. So
Launched in store during a pandemic.
yes, so it says that it was complicated by the pandemic, which forced some factories to close, created shipping delays that made it harder to get products to stores in a timely manner. So their sales and same store sales fell. Um,
Well, that was, yeah, for everyone,
yeah,
not
yeah,
because of
right,
the plus size stuff.
right. So, there were a lot of things here. Launching something like this in the pandemic is going to be hard as hell. I mean, obviously. So, um, they're going on to talk to an analyst that says that expanded sizes aren't bringing in enough new customers and or getting enough existing customers to buy more. If some of those sizes don't sell, it doesn't make sense to use up the floor space. So it comes back to making sure that you are letting customers know, hey, the stuff is here. If you're letting them know that it's available, they're going to be interested in buying it. This customer is looking for this stuff. So that's the big part of it is, yeah, the stuff isn't selling. If you're not telling them, hey, you can come into a store, especially a customer that doesn't get much love.
Doesn't ever do that. Yeah.
Right. And brick and mortar, then you tell them, hey, you can come to our store, you can have this experience, you can actually find something that fits you in our store. If you don't do that, then you're not gonna get those customers coming in. So it does not feel like this is something that they did a good job with and really kept pushing on. So that's part of it. Fashion designer Diane von Furstenberg said that her namesake company wants to cater to as many people as possible, but that producing a wide range of sizes is expensive. She says, if you're a size 2 and you're a size 16, you do not use the same amount of fabric. She says you don't want to penalize the small people who would be paying more because the price has to be the same. It may be very controversial to bring that up, but I think it's important. I think there are a lot of ways you can handle that.
And what I don't, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's, if you're saying don't penalize, first off, this is a person with a, who runs a brand that is not a discount brand. So if she decided to raise prices to make them all equal across the board, chances are that customer is not going to notice and is not going to have an issue. You will have some of those value buyers who are going to have a problem because there's always somebody who's going to complain about pricing, but that's probably not her target customer. So what in my mind makes sense for a lot of brands is that you would raise those prices kind of across the board so that you could keep things equal. You don't have to do that. Now, for me personally, I don't feel like I have, I'm also an older customer, I'm not a 20-year-old trying to find stuff. I don't have as much of a problem with paying, $3 or $4 more for something that's going to fit me, than the same product in a smaller size. Yeah. But I think that companies that want to be inclusive, that want to show that they care about this customer a little more, are going to look for ways that they can kind of equalize things, is what it feels like to me. So I don't know, at least from a marketing perspective, that is one tactic that you can take. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're just finding excuses not to do it, or blaming their sales being down on them expand. Like, I get that their sales are down because they didn't have enough of the middle sizes, but that's something that you work out. Like, you figure out, okay, so this is what we had in stores and this is what sold, so now we need to lower these numbers on the outskirts and raise these numbers up. Like, it's a process that you always have to work on. You're not always going to sell the same amount of those sizes,
Right. They went on to say that Old Navy more than doubled the number of extended size customers in its database since the launch, and that 15% of customers who shopped for extended sizes are new to the brand. That's all great stuff. She said that Old Navy's factories were shut down for an extended period of time because of the pandemic, so they were hurt by inventory shortages. And that in March, she said the brand suffered from not having enough fashionable dresses and tops as consumers were shifting to buying more of those items. Well, everybody's been having the problem with inventory shortages and shipping, right? I mean, that's not something that's unique to them. And it's not something that you can't get over, especially, again, a company as large as Gap, So it's it feels like these are all things that yes, they're not great. but are they things that are like total deal breakers? Is this a reason that they should stop with, plus sizes or extended sizes? No, absolutely not. These are all things they can come back from. So, it's this whole thing. I think there's a lot that probably could have been done. And if you get those new plus size customers coming in, making sure that you're catering to them in ways that are beneficial. So if they're buying the stuff online, letting them know that they can come into the stores, or letting them know, continuing to market to them in a way that that shows them that that you're invested is really important. And again, since this was only on the women's side, I don't I don't know how much of that they were doing through marketing. And I also don't know. I mean, I'm looking at the Old Navy site now and I see plus size models, plus size women's models. And I mean, they have women's and women's plus. So obviously on the website, people are able to get in there. Once I click on women's and women's plus, I see one plus two plus size models, I guess. And so it's I don't know, as you're digging deeper into the site and looking through the catalog, I'm not seeing plus size models being shown until, I mean, I got halfway down the page and I see one, maybe. It's so there's still also that problem of having bigger people not really integrated into your marketing and into the things you're doing. And if you're not going to go all in on that and
Yeah,
have
I loved that when they said they went all in. I'm like,
right,
no, they
right,
might say that they did, but I don't
yeah,
feel like they really did.
right. And we're seeing that with some men's brands where we're doing extended sizes that are either tapering off on the extended size stuff or that are not working with bigger models anymore. If you're not going to continue to stay dedicated to that audience and put them, if not first, put them up there equal with your straight sizes, then of course you're not going to get the sales. And that's the thing. And that's definitely what I feel like I'm seeing here. And I mean, like I said, if you look at the men's stuff, there's nothing at all that's like,
Yeah.
there are no it's the whole thing of, if they had anything that was big and tall, it's all tall. It's tall guys, and they're just missing the boat. And this is the thing that happens with so many brands, is that they aren't dedicated to it and they aren't doing it in a way that that works. They don't understand this audience even when they try. And I'm going to guess that with a company as big as Old Navy, that there are probably designers and people in there who really fought for this and advocated, for this extended size stuff, or the plus size product, who really understand it. But then when it comes to marketing and really carrying it out long term, they didn't have the same kind of like buy-in. Not everybody was on the same page with how to do this long term, because this is long term work that you have to do.
Yeah, especially it can't be just a one-time, oh, this, we tried it and it didn't work. Well, it's not a one and done. You got to work on it and keep going, because now you tease those people saying that it was in store and now it's not again.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
they're not going to come back again.
So how does this bode well for Old Navy plus size, big and tall, extended size, whatever you want to call it, down the road? My guess is that, and Old Navy didn't really comment for this article from what I can see. They didn't get, too deep into it. I guess they, I don't know. There wasn't a lot that they wanted to say about it. My guess is that this article is making more of it than what Gap / Old Navy is. I don't think this means that this stuff's going to go away. I do think it means they will tweak what they do. My hope is that they look at this and they say, okay, well, there are places where we're missing the boat. Now, if I don't know, I guess if you click into a product, they do have images that feature plus size models, but they need to have some of those on more of the landing pages. They need to have more homepage stuff. They need to be marketing it more. My hope is that they continue to focus on inclusivity that way. And I really hope they bring it to the men's side, because I mean, Old Navy pricing for, what they're making, that's what a lot of people want. And they'll sell a lot of that stuff if they make it clear that they're making the stuff, it's available, and hey, it's in stores. So
right.
Yeah. So there we go. That's what I got out of that.
That's it's a little crazy.
Yeah, definitely. So we'd love to know what you think. Hit us up on social, let us know, at Heavy Convo on Instagram and Twitter. Yeah. Let us know what you think. Would you like to see more big and tall options for men at Old Navy? And would you go to a store if you knew that they had your size there?
Yeah, I would.
Me too. Because I'm looking at shirts for men, and they go to 4X. I'm finding like there's a 4X in like this printed camp shirt. So they're making the stuff, but they're not showing it on bigger models. So Old Navy, if you're listening to this, please do the thing.
Yeah, come talk to us.
Yes. So so that's all about Old Navy. One other thing I thought we should briefly discuss, it's kind of being discussed everywhere, is the school shooting in Texas. I think everybody is obviously talking about it now, and many podcasts and news pieces and everywhere. It's horrible. My kids, as we're recording this just yesterday, it's only been a few days since this happened. My kids went through their active shooter drills. They talked about it in their classes with their teachers, where they were like, this is, if we have a lockdown like this, we cover the window for our door, the window in our door. We get down and hide. If we need to get out, the teacher says I would break a window and climb out. I mean, it's a lot of, it's horrible. It's horrible, for this to continue to happen over and over and over. And it's horrible. Like, it's heartbreaking to think that our kids have to live with this, and there is nothing that's being done. And you can say that it's it's too soon to talk about this or to politicize it. I saw something this morning saying, when people say it's too soon, tell them that you're talking about Sandy Hook that happened 10 years ago.
Let's go back to all the things that have happened in the past then.
But it's I have a fifth grader, a third grader, and a 2-year-old, and just thinking about this it's frightening. And I mean, they have lockdowns at their school. They've had at least 3 this year, just for random things, people on campus that shouldn't be there, or whatever. And
that's scary enough.
It is,
because you don't know what's happening.
Right. Thankfully, it hasn't been anything, but I think we continue to talk about gun violence. We get sad about it, and then we forget about it. And
it goes away after a couple of weeks,
and it keeps happening. Right. And it keeps happening continually. And people are saying that no amount of gun control laws are going to stop all of this. And you know what? They're right, because you can put laws in place and it's not going to stop 100%. But if it stops 40, 60, 80%, if we make
what did you say? How many have already happened? It was more mass shootings have happened this year than there are days in the year.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
Right. And so it should be difficult to buy a gun. It should absolutely be difficult to buy automatic weapons. We should be screening for more of that stuff. That should be a high priority, and it shouldn't just have to be every time a fourth grade classroom gets shot up. I mean, this is something that needs to be addressed, needs to be focused on. And no, these laws are not going to stop everything, but we can't just do nothing.
Yeah.
And it is absolute common sense to me that it should be much more difficult to get a gun.
Mhm.
And that's where I stand with it. And I don't understand why every time these kinds of laws are trying to be put in place, it just doesn't happen. And so
Mhm.
it's disgusting and it's sad. And I just,
We've got to start closing up those loopholes with the dealers and the shows where you can just buy a gun without anything.
right.
The like rounds of hundreds of bullets and a thing, like no one needs that. You don't.
No,
What are you doing
no, they don't
other
need
than
that.
going and killing a bunch of people? That's the only reason why you would need that.
Right.
And
Right.
that's not what a private citizen needs.
And it's really easy for people to say, oh, that won't make any difference. That won't do anything. But it's trying to do something as opposed to doing nothing.
Right.
And that's
But
where
yeah,
we're
let's
at.
try it and see.
We've got to do something.
Yeah, because what we're doing now isn't working.
It's not.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if I would suggest that you reach out to your representatives if this is something that you're passionate about, which you should be, and encourage them to pass some legislation on some gun reform, background checks, semi-automatic weapons. I've already called mine, even though I know my representatives are on the same side as I am, but I want to make sure that they know I'm concerned about it. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, sorry to end on a
No,
low
it's,
note.
it's
but
something very important that we need to be talking about and continue to talk about and do something. No thoughts and prayers on this anymore. That obviously isn't working, and I think we're all getting sick and tired of hearing that after this happens so often.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, thanks, Bruce. Thanks for bringing that article to our attention, and thanks for sharing a little bit about what's going on with the shootings in your world. And that's tough stuff with your kids. I can't even imagine trying to talk to kids about that kind of stuff. Like, it's just so difficult.
It's a lot, and I hope that in the future it's something that we have to discuss less.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening to Heavy Conversation. Be sure to like and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get your
Podcast.